All right, next up we're going to do a honey burst, a light honey burst on this African mahogany bodied Tele with a big leaf western maple flame top. It's got some beautiful figure. We're going to use two colors with Transtint here, the brown and the yellow. We're going to start with the yellow, and we're going to put the coloring on the outside and the inside here. We're going to saturate that rag and wipe it in. And this is after I had bound it. And so there's a little bit of binding glue. And I just wanted to find that binding glue and see what the color looks like as it's going on. So this is kind of a trial run here. And also I wanted to just see what the coloring looks like. See if there's anything interesting that's popping out of the wood. And it's actually a very beautiful figured piece. It's got those two little pinholes up towards the top on each side. But the figuring is actually very beautiful here. So then we'll take some brown and we'll just rub it around on the outside. So I'm going to do a little bit of a darker outside and a lighter inside. So here we'll just put that color on. You can see where I need to do some sanding still. On the bottom left there's a little bit of glue, and then on the upper right horn there's some glue that was left over. So I got a little bit of sanding left to do, and that's fine because this is just a test run. I want to see how this sits. So we'll push some of these colors around, speed this up. I know the backside was actually pretty clean, and one of the great things about African mahogany is when you put a brown and a yellow on, it really looks outstanding. I think this is probably one of the best color schemes I've seen on a guitar body, is this brown and yellow on this African mahogany. Looks outstanding. It really just brings the color out of the wood. The brown goes into the open pores and the yellow sits on the outside, and it really just looks beautiful. Really happy with the coloring. So just a little bit more brown, a little bit more yellow. See where the ins and outs are of the wood. This is about 4 ounces of water and a couple drops of color. So on the Tele neck that I just did, I used these same colors and measured it out. Really, it's just a back and forth process to get the coloring right. Here I'm going to take some 400 grit sandpaper on my hand sander and just sand off the areas that still have some of that binding glue left over. So we'll get that upper bout. That upper corner had a little bit as well. Could have used a hand sander, but a power sander, that Black & Decker one that I usually use, but just decided to do this. Just to show you don't need tools to do some of this sometimes. Alright, so we'll go back with the same colors. Got the same yellow, and we'll wipe that on. I want to keep the coloring consistent throughout the guitar. So we'll replace another coat of yellow on. I think brown and yellow are probably the two best colors in wood. It really highlights the natural figure in the wood, brings out a lot of coloring with brown and yellow. So the next two guitars I've got going are going to be brown and yellow guitars, different versions of brown and yellow. Historically, I would add a little bit of red, but I really like the brown and yellow, and especially with the brown and yellow back here on this African mahogany. I just wanted to keep the coloring consistent. You can already see how beautiful that coloring is. All right, so we're going to get some 600 grit sandpaper. We're going to sand off a little bit of the top here. So I want to have the center a little bit lighter. Pull off any of the fuzz now from putting the water-based tint in. You can use these tints in alcohol or water, and I prefer doing it in water. I prefer the coloring, watercoloring that you can do. So here we're just going to sand with the 600 grit. Focus a little bit in that center of the body. And we're going to put color on one more time here. So I've diluted the yellow so that it's a little bit lighter. So all I really do is add a little bit of water to the original mix, and so it's diluted so the coloring isn't so deep. That's usually my trick to kind of get the coloring to pop. You put one more layer of color on. And this is looking pretty cool. Got a little bit darker on the outside, nice lighter center. I wasn't so happy with the center, so I took some steel wool here and tried to rub out some of the color. I want it to be a little bit blonder with the yellow and the maple. The maple is already pretty brown, so I was playing with this to see if I can get that center to pop a little bit more. So I'll take some naphtha here then and see what it looks like. That's looking pretty good, but I wasn't 100% happy with the center. So I actually have some 1000 grit sandpaper, and I went back and sanded with 1000 grit, really just focusing on the center and pulling some of that yellow out. Speed this up here. This is going to give it that lighter look, which is what I was going for. I didn't want a really dark brown and yellow look. I wanted to go more with a lighter yellow. A really neat effect on a guitar is just using a heavy yellow and then sanding it back and leaving it, because then you get the tone from the wood and the yellow from the top. I'm going to do that next on a guitar body. I've got actually the same piece of wood. I'll do that on a different body. So here I focus on the center, really pull it off, get some naphtha, and this is the coloring I'm looking for. So then I'm going to finish it. I got this high gloss gunstock finish oil from Chempac. I bought a whole case and sprayed the back. And this is the coloring I was talking about, how it looks outstanding, really neat. The stuff is really awesome. It fills the grain, it goes on thick, but it doesn't sag, and it dries relatively quick. It's actually kind of a miracle finish. So then here's the top. Really happy with the top. This is only one coat. It's looking really good. Nice coloring, nice fading. And then here's the money shot. Really beautiful guitar body. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.